Oh, Funk Igniter.
More love. More love.
Brooklyn. BX, Brooklyn, the connection forever. Well, my mom's and my pops had me diverse because my mom's was into soul, R&B, and classics, and a little bit of rock. My pops was just strictly blues, country, and soul. So, you know, I had a mixture of everything from Billie Holiday to damn near Willie Nelson.
James Brown. Funkadelics, George Clinton. Back in the 70s, being around the South Bronx.
Basically, I got my influence from my family, my peers in the 70s, and truth be told, I went to an outside party and seen the DJs rocking like Kenny Ken and Master Rob and all of these cats. And then the next week, I went to a Soul Sonic Bambaataa party in Bronx River, and that sold me. That was it. After that, and that was the beginning. From then on. Actually, I caught the bug early. I caught the bug when I was 13, 14. So in that era, like at that timeline, a lot of us, our cats, we wasn't really that adamant about the music. Everybody wanted to either be a break dancer or a graffiti artist. You understand? Most of our peers were stick-up kids. You know what I'm saying? They was doing all the other stuff that you wasn't supposed to be doing. But at the end of the day, the music took over everything else. So that was the whole tutelage of the whole foundation, because within that you had the dancing, you had the graffiti, you had the music, you had the DJ, you had the MC. You understand? So if the DJ was the main catalyst, the MC was supposed to hype up that DJ. The MC became popular after the fact when Cold Crush, Flash, and everybody else, Mel and all these other cats came out and they started doing their thing and personifying the styling of the MC. You understand? So it's like there's like a whole physical breakdown that needs to be discussed in that forum, but in order to do that, we'd have to have a whole big round table and then a whole big thesis and get things etched in stone correctly. But in that timeline in the 70s, it was just a different time for everything else. So it was just, that was the main embodiment of how things were done. You understand? As far as the history is concerned.
Just hanging in the South Bronx, you know, seeing cats like Grandmaster Flash and Theodore doing their thing, or over in the Bronx or Harlem, you know.
Actually, I became a DJ first before I started rhyming. I mean, I always wanted to rhyme, but I just didn't feel, I didn't like my voice. I didn't like my speaking voice and my rhyming voice, I didn't feel it. So I had to change up my tone. But the DJ bug, that was me first. I wanted to do that first. So I caught that bug, like beat my mom over the head for a pair of Technique SLB1s at 16. You know, so it was just that type of thing. I wanted those Technique turntables. I didn't care what mixer it was. I would have made my own mixer, you know, but I just needed the turntables, you know. And being that my aunt, we owned the record store. I come from the recording industry with that tutelage of this being in the retail. So when I come from that retail background, I was able to get all the records anyway. Any record, new record came out, what I didn't buy, it came to the store, I was able to collect. So that was just a catch-22 for me. That was just a blessing in disguise. Well, I came in last, actually. Mosaic and Keith were already together formed, but the same thing. And the difference was, when that was happening, we were basically trying to just formulate new forms, ideas, trying to make a new sound and get things happening. We were dealing with this guy by the name of DNA, Diamond International Records, and he helped us fund the projects and put the material out. But as far as the group, the name came from Kool Keith, right? But as far as putting the key pieces together, Cedric and Maurice were the key players, you understand? But Keith and Ced were the main MCs. I wasn't up to par yet at that standard, so when I came in, I came in as like the, the, the liaison, so to speak, because I was actually a dancer. Because people don't remember that they used to see me in Masters of Ceremony videos dancing. They seen me in a couple of other old school Uptown videos dancing. You know, when Uptown Records had first evolved and things like that. Before we got down, I was already dealing with that. So it was just certain little areas. But when I got down with Ultra, when they brought me in, actually, it was because of another member of ours had caught a situation and things didn't turn out right. So we had to fill his shoes. So I stepped up. When I stepped up, that was it. You know, that was just the end of it. And then my knowledge of records, like Maurice had his knowledge of records, we just started clicking. You know, we just started, he would call me up, yo, you got this record? Yeah, I got that record. You need it? Like, all right, yeah, let's go. And then he found out I had the record store. Like, he would come uptown to visit me. I would go to Brooklyn to visit him. We just, every weekend, we would just cool out and just go through our records and say, yo, you got that? Oh, you ain't got that. I got this. Like, you know, that type of stuff. So we had our camaraderie, and then we would go uptown to Ced's house, his mother's house, the silver wallpaper that's been infamously talked about, and we would go up there and go through all our crates. I brought my personal crates to the house, me and Maurice, and we left them there so we can go through all our music and everything to find out what beats and songs or rhythms that we wanted to use to create that critical beat down album. All right. Ced was the producer because he knew how to use the machine. Point blank. I learned how to use the machine during the making of Critical Beatdown, as well as Mo did also. But here's the thing, and I'm not slighting anything or I'm badgering, it's just a simple fact. Ced didn't want us to touch the machine. That was his baby. You understand? So that's what it was. We had the records, we knew how to use the records, but we just didn't know how to chop them up and program them. He did. So as we learned, from watching him and him showing us little things and that, we started picking up the trade, we started picking up the little habits, and then we knew how to do. So we went out and purchased our own. You understand? But in the same hindsight, when Ced wasn't around, his brother Patrick would let me and Maurice use the machine. You understand? Like when Ced had a game to play, and he was playing in Rucker tournament or Riverside or whatever, Gauchos or something, and I would come over and he's not home, first thing I did was turn the machine on. Pull out some of my records, see what I wanted to sample, James Brown loop or whatever, so I can get my chops up, so I can start mastering my trade. Ced, Keith and Mo decided to do that. I didn't even know they was going to do that until they told me after we mixed the record and we came out of Calliope that morning and we turned the masters in. On our way home, it was like, yo, you know what? Not for nothing, we didn't tell you, but you're on the record. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're on the record, though. That was it. You're on the record. So then later on, Red gets the white label. Red calls. He's like, we in the house listening to the stage. He's like, Red call. Yo, what's up? Yo, how come you ain't tell me he was on the instrumental? I'm like, what are you talking about? So when the white labels came, I put the record on. After the first part of the instrumental plays, then the second part goes, and when you think it's going to continuation of the instrumental, my verse comes up. So that's when we was like, oh, okay. You know, but I knew we did it, but I didn't think we was going to keep it, because when we did it, when we actually recorded in the studio, I wasn't comfortable with my verse. And I did it 3 times, you understand? But the first time, I nailed it, but my wording and my diction wasn't correct. So I did it again. Then after that, I did it again on the 3rd time because I wanted to make sure my ad-libs were properly placed. But you could tell that was my first time rhyming because it's the way I came about it. But the difference was, like I said, I didn't like my voice. You understand? So I had to change my voice inflections and my tone after that because I was like, I don't know, man. You know, but